So trade is at the heart of everything we do on this planet. And today, trade has been quite opaque, challenging to delve into, and extremely complex. Well, over the past several years here at Vizion, in collaboration with our partners, we have been working to lift that veil, make trade more transparent, make visibility a cornerstone offering of supply chain resilience. And to do that, over the last few years in this development, we've packaged these innovations together into what we're calling and announcing today TradeView. TradeView is about monitoring global trade, providing transparency into global trade. It aims to revolutionize what we think of as transparency and to share some of these insights and share the story of what it took to build TradeView. I'd like to invite a special guest to the stage, one of our key collaborators, Robert Kirk of Dun & Bradstreet, the global head of analytics. Robert?
Thank you, Kyle. So an exciting time for both of us here, and as Kyle has already mentioned, we are thrilled to be part of this collaboration. We believe that actionable information is critical to opening up transparency, and our framework is really about bringing together accurate, complete, and timely information that's been standardized and made usable to open up new innovations, new techniques, and new strategies for discovering new intelligence that's never been before seen.
And what we're going to be showing you today is rooted in listening to the needs of our customers, our partners, our collaborators, and our industry's needs. We're going to summarize simply. There is a growing need for visibility and transparency and monitoring around regulations, new government regulations coming. There are new concerns, new compliance requirements all of our businesses and companies are going to have to be dealing with. And in addition to dealing with new regulations, we're also dealing with a world that is multipolar now. We're dealing with uncertainty in geopolitics, we're dealing with uncertainty in global events, and we're being asked to deal with these things in a world where agility and being data-driven has to be the core of this improved transparency, of this improved visibility. And Robert, in your role at Dun & Bradstreet as the head of analytics, you've heard from many of your customers about these needs and maybe why these needs exist today. Now, nothing is quite meeting these needs yet. They're new needs. So maybe you could share a few stories or learnings from what Dun & Bradstreet customers are asking for and saying that they need.
Well, absolutely. And I think many of you sitting out there in the audience are probably feeling the pain, right? Like you're being asked to understand deeper into your supply chain, take responsibility for what used to be others' frameworks. What we've found is that working with our partners, working with customers and our clients, is the framework used to be simply, let's onboard a supplier, let's onboard a vendor, let's onboard a relationship, and then trust that the financial analysis or the front door was sufficient. Now with these bigger asks within the regulatory requirements, within the framework that makes up the community, the question is now expanded to, what am I responsible for, and where does my job end, where does my vendor's job begin? And so the door has been opened by regulators, by a social responsibility, by the framework of intercooperation and international trade to begin the dialogue of what is meaningful? What does global and responsible trade look like? What does the trade of information actually entail without becoming commercially violating of protective or intellectual property rights? And so the framework now is about how we connect the dots, how we create transparency, and then open the door to new and exciting questions that will actually make the world a much more equitable, fair, and robust place for both the vendors, the 3PLs, and the BCO community.
So when we think about these needs and our customers and what they're asking for, we think of this as a community that we're working with to address these needs. And the community that TradeView is focused on, we pulled together 3 groups when we talk about them. We pulled together the operators, the logistics professionals, the folks that make things move. And we've learned a lot about their needs to better understand and identify performance, making design decisions on logistics networks, et cetera. And we've heard their needs around being data-driven in these decisions. And we've built capabilities into TradeView to meet those needs. Additionally, we've built TradeView to support the risk and compliance needs, the trade compliance experts, the organizations that are helping to design and select suppliers, helping to understand the financial health of organizations they're dependent on, and making, again, those smart decisions to understand what their current risk profile is and what is a better profile, a more resilient option and design for their businesses. And lastly, the true logistics services companies, the carriers, not just the operators and the planners and procurement, but really looking at how are we moving the assets around? How are we using these capital investments to the best of their ability to be more efficient and capable? And this community is the focus of TradeView. It's what so much of our blood, sweat, and tears have gone into in the past few years. And we're very excited to start sharing more of that with you today. So at this point, we're going to go to a live demo of TradeView. And I'm not sure if everyone can see the screens in the front, but there's some screens set up on the side here for you to be able to take it in. And I'd quickly like to introduce again our CTO, Tyler Hughes, who's driving the demo live here for you. So you're getting all this information live. And at this first view with TradeView, what you're gathering is a live picture. The world as of today, I think today's date we actually have selected as yesterday. So this is all the information of yesterday. And we're seeing that in TradeView, we have visibility into, if we look here on the right, these shipment volumes. We have visibility into more than 119,000 TEUs that are currently booked in the world, preparing to be shipped. We're seeing this in terms of the volumes of goods. We're seeing this in terms of the companies who are moving these goods. And we're also rolling this into the volumes that are currently in progress, so live on the map. Tyler's zooming in and zooming out. We're actually seeing vessels here in their current locations. You can click on vessels as well and be able to dive into what is on that vessel currently, what products are on that vessel, what is the value of the goods on that vessel, what companies have goods on that vessel. And you're able to use this information to make better decisions as things happen in the moment. And this data is unprecedented and is a key part of our collaboration with Dun & Bradstreet. And Robert, I know you love talking about the shipment information and the power of visibility into bookings and what that drives for transparency.
Well, I think it's the most exciting thing that we've seen in this industry in the last couple of years, because it now opens up the door. You heard, if you were in the previous session from FreightWaves, the conversation about pre-booking information, 9 to 18 weeks of lead time. Sometimes it's shorter, sometimes it's longer, but average is 8 to 9 weeks, right? Knowing what's being planned to be shipped opens up the doors to understanding where the footprints are going to be, where is the demand side sitting, where's the supply side sitting? And as we move more towards just-in-time again, as we got away from just-in-case, as we got away from the functional resiliency that we built in as a result of the pandemic and concerns about disruptions in supply chain, and we've rebuilt our global supply networks to establish this confidence that just-in-time can occur, understanding what's coming, where it's coming from, and what your risk is at any time is a door opener to new decisions and talking about maximizing those resources that we spoke about a few minutes ago. And then having that confidence as we think about the regulatory and other rules that we're being asked to take on throughout our supply chain, to have the confidence that they're coming from reliable sources, confident sources, and frankly, fair trade sources for the business. And so this really opens up the door to new levels of transparency across multimodal transportation.
And the power of TradeView is not just limited to seeing what is happening today or yesterday on a specific day. This information and data goes back years in history. Detailed information about the flow of freight. And it's not just about the flow, what's on the vessel, what's in the port. We can also break this information down by the companies involved in global trade and the products being moved by trade. So Tyler, maybe we could check out the companies hub here in TradeView. And what we see is a dashboard that's pulling together millions of shipments into a single view over the past 90 days. And it's not just looking over the past 90 days, we have visualizations here that are looking over the next 90 days of what is planned to happen with these bookings and information. But you can see the top consignees in the world by volume of trade in TEUs, the top consignees in the world by the value of the goods that they have recently moved. You can see how there are swings in types of goods being moved. Since we're looking at the last 90 days and we're just at the first few days in February, you can see that the volumes of goods that have greatly decreased recently are all of the toys
right.
from Christmas. The products here on the left in the red bars that are identifying the drop in the Christmas holiday season. But even beyond seeing the swing in goods, you can also start looking at this marriage between transportation information and booking information, product information, and company information. You can also identify what companies have the greatest volume of delayed shipments currently in the world. What companies have the greatest value of delayed shipments in the world. And what companies are preparing to ship the most volume and value over the next 90 days as well. So unprecedented information and insights into not what happened 3 or 4 months ago in global trade, but what's happening right now and what's planned to be happening over the next 30, 60, 90 days.
And again, what we believe this drives is the ability for you to create meaningful indexes for your business. So as we talk about the companies or the products that are of value, as well as the products that are delayed, it opens up the ability to create your own meaningful indices, benchmarks, and understanding of transformations across seasonal differences. So it's not just about what happened historically, it's not just about what will happen in the future, but it actually expands our forefoot or our forecast capabilities by making us four-footed or front-footed on the capabilities of looking beyond the post-customs analysis. So this opens up a whole new way of surveilling the marketplace, understanding what our market share is, our market capital opportunities, and again, transparent demand needs that are happening across the world.
And you could dive in, as you were mentioning, and that's a good segue, Robert. You can start looking into individual companies as well. So a company that we're all familiar with, we can start diving into the details of Walmart here in this data. So if we pull up the profile for the company Walmart, we've broken down this information into data that Vizion has brought to the table, data that Dun & Bradstreet has brought to the table, data that other partners have brought to the table, to be able to also tell you information about the recent value and volumes of goods being shipped by Walmart, designs of their logistics network as well by origins and destinations and such, the volumes of goods that are being delayed, et cetera. But we go into even more detail by being able to show you the recent activities. So we have an activity chart here that is showing you how completed shipments are happening by day, how many shipments are in progress in any day in the last 90 days, and the volume of booked shipments over the next 90 days and the past 90 days. Additionally, and this is where so much of the Dun & Bradstreet partnership and collaboration really shines through, we're able to pull very detailed risk information on company profiles. So if you dive into the Walmart risk profile, there's a number of different values here, from the supplier risk evaluation score or the stability index for their supplier network, and generally the financial failure score around the company. And it's not just a score, but you're getting details about how that score was put together, the commentary. And Robert, you know this better than I do, since this is your lifeblood at Dun & Bradstreet.
Well, I think this is the footprint where we try to bring and answer more questions in one convenient place. So that's what we're excited about with the partner with Vizion as well, is making this a universal tool for all the different players in the communities. By connecting the dots on frameworks of financial risk and understanding operational risk as it relates to logistics demands. If you're building a supply chain resilience program, it does require that you understand who your partners are, what their stability and capabilities are from a financial and capability to produce products, and then ultimately their ability to deliver those in a meaningful and timely manner. All those things come together to create a real supply chain and value chain as we think about the businesses globally. So to your point, Kyle, as we look at these, not only is it a score that just is a directional indicator, but also the key risk concerns for helping to understand where are the areas of opportunity in the relationship, where are things to consider, and where are alternatives that can take place that need to become part of your due diligence or survey questionnaires.
And this is just the beginning of this type of information around risk. This is great financial and supplier network risk, but our collaboration plans to bring to market a number of additional risk elements over the next year, where we're looking at supplier network, we're looking at risk around labor compliance, we're looking at risk due to emissions compliance, et cetera. All this is data that is being baked in and joined behind the scenes into the TradeView platform and the data sets that come together to deliver these types of insights. Again, Tyler, we have financial information on Walmart, which is pretty publicly available. But when it comes down to it, at the end of the day, the idea behind TradeView is it's truly a living atlas of information that also is actionable. You can look up issues. You know, if we go back to March of 2021, you can go and look at the Ever Given as it's stuck in the Suez Canal and find out who has goods on that vessel. See the vessels that are getting rerouted around Africa in the last few months with the Red Sea crisis, and be able to understand what volumes of goods and what companies are being affected. And maybe, Tyler, if we go back to the Explore view, go back to this beautiful globe, this is just, again, scratching the surface. We're building detailed analysis features into this, such as polygon filtration, where you're able to draw different shapes onto the map that you're interested in specific regions and filter the information to that, down to that. Use the powerful filters on the left to be looking at just not all shipment information, but maybe you want to focus just on planned information or in progress information. You can pick out different trade routes, trade lane information. You can pick out origin and destination combinations, filtered by company, filtered by products, and be able to get updated analysis live. There's a lot in the works around TradeView. We're very excited to be bringing this to you today and sharing this first view into TradeView. We'd like to welcome you to TradeView. And with that, there's more access to this demo and being able to see this platform in the next few days. We have kiosks set up here in the room where you'll be able to get more information. We'll also be set up at the expo with a booth with live information that you come and ask questions of using the TradeView platform. And on that note, we probably should share a little more context about all the data that's in the TradeView platform.
Absolutely. Because again, it's looking more than just at individual vessels and individual companies. This information is built on the backbone of a complete understanding of the entire shipping landscape as it exists today, with the best information we have available. And DMB is not resting on our laurels, right? We're building a bigger and better network of shipping information to help out. But even where we're starting is relatively robust. So we've talked a little bit about the comparison to what was available before in our pre-calls around what the borders customs information used to show. And we believe this information is between 6 and 10 times more complete than what borders and customs information used to present on its own.
So to put some numbers up to help you understand the depth of insights that you can pull out of TradeView, on a daily basis, there are more than 10 million shipments being monitored in the platform. That's a daily basis, 10 million shipments. And behind that, there's a wealth of information around supplier networks. And I get very excited when I think about this, and we've talked about this at length, Robert, but being able to leverage the information of more than 1 million different supplier networks in the details behind the scenes. This has been a labor of love.
It has been.
to clean this data and pull this data together.
And it does give that front door, right? Like it's all about understanding who are involved in the shipments. If we're really building value chains and we're creating that transparency to allow for actionable insight, it's not just about understanding that products are moving, and it's not just about understanding the products that are on board. It's also involves who are the actors, who are the people on either side of the shipment, who's carrying the shipment, who are all the parties involved. So one of the things that we think about when we look at these shipments is that those are containerized shipments. Each one of those can have up to 7 different counterparties involved, be it a shipper, a consignee, a third-party logistics company, a fourth-party logistics company, as well as the ports and the vessel owners. So each of those parties is a material part of your value chain, even if we don't think about it that way today. Each person that touches it or has to touch it has a material impact. You've hit on a couple of things. One of the things I'll remind the team about is when the longshoremen went on strike out in LA. That port affected and became part of our value chain, even if we didn't plan for it.
And even beyond 1 million plus supplier networks, we're looking at risk intelligence information that's built on a history of 2 billion shipments in the data set. The data set goes back 10 years of information around shipments, transportation movements, companies, products, and as we're excited to be layering in and showing off over the next year, information around ESG concerns again. So we have great partnerships helping us understand the GHG and emissions impacts of both the manufacturing process of different product codes as well as the transportation impact. Looking again at the compliance around labor, sanctions, et cetera, and associating these risks with the supplier network, and then how is that affecting your business and the network you're considering to design. And putting this at your fingertips in a way that it's truly making data-driven decisions. It's a tool set for you to be able to be informed when times are tough, uncertainty is high, and there's pressure to figure out what to do today.
And even more so, one of the pieces I'll just add on to it, is one of the things that we're being asked to look at is more than just trying to find the cheapest or most economical at this moment, but actually the best value and the lowest cost long-term, both for our companies, our value chain, and our society. So the movement to ESG, understanding the full environmental impact, understanding the impact to not only social governance from the highest level, but also the impact of poverty, the sharing of commercial wealth, and the framework of fair trade, and then ultimately proper governance across all team members is a critical area of where we're going to expand.
Leaving you with the thought that TradeView truly delivers unprecedented transparency into global trade, supply chain, logistics that most affect you. And the intent of showing this and sharing this with you today is to let you know that this preview is available to you now. Please speak to our team, speak to Dun & Bradstreet. We're looking for the companies that want to collaborate and help bring this not just to market with more meaningful and impactful features, but also to get your feedback and your input to guide its direction and development over the next year. I'd like to thank, again, Robert for joining us today. Please, a round of applause for Dun & Bradstreet and all they've been able to do to bring TradeView to life. And of course, the Vizion team that has spent so much time and effort, especially in the last year and even beyond that, building the core technologies to make this what sometimes is a very unsexy data set behind the scenes work to deliver value. And if you want to learn more about TradeView, you can visit us at visionapi.com. You can learn more today. You can request early access with this QR code on the screens. And I believe now it's time to start taking some questions and providing some answers.